Hi students, the first thing we're going to do today is take your clay out of the bag. It should still be nice and soft and plastic, and you may have to spend a minute or two just kind of lightly smoothing out some things before we get started today. Today we're going to be adding what's known as feet or legs to our slab. And what I mean by that is, here is a great example. Here is a slab and here is a foot. The foot is an area where it's going to actually come off of the table or the surface that it's sitting on, and it's going to sit on that structure. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a couple picture examples of different feet and some different possibilities that you could potentially use for your project. Although it really is endless, and I'd love to see your creativity. Different examples of feet, and we're now ready to join them to our slab. You're going to need to access some clay out of the clay trash can in the back. You're not going to need a lot. Some amount that will probably fit into the side of the palm of your hand would be fine. And because we're using a small amount, you don't need to wedge this. It's only when we get large amounts of clay that wedging is really important. If you just take the clay and squeeze it in your hand several times, that would be plenty, because we're going to be tearing it up and putting it on our pot or on our slab in a variety of different ways. One thing you're going to need is you're going to need to get slip. This can be found to the right of the sinks, and you're going to want to share with somebody at your table. You're going to want to access a paintbrush directly to the left of the sinks to apply the slip. You're going to need a serrated rib, which is a rib that has the ridges on it. That is for scoring our clay. And you're going to need a wooden modeling tool for blending in any areas that we join. I'm going to take you through a few techniques here of ideas for the foot of your pot. If you're wanting to roll a coil is a small or long snake-like piece of clay. All you would do is start with a ball, depending on how big you wanted, and you're simply going to roll it between your fingers, your hands, and then on the table. And that will create something like a coil. You could potentially make small balls for your pot to sit on to be legs in a variety of different shapes. And then we looked at other examples as well that you could do. Really, the sky's the limit with the feet that you use. The only thing that I want you to remember while you're doing this is when we flip our pot over, we want it to be stable and not teeter-tottering or rocking. So for example, when I'm doing my feet, it would not be a very smart idea if I was doing these round balls to put them here and think that my pot was going to then sit stable. I would want to do that in a pattern of like a triangle, or I'd want to do 2 feet here and 2 feet here. So think about stability when you're thinking about planning your feet. That's really important, that your pot sits flat and that everything is level when we flip it over. I'll show you how to join pieces of clay together. So I'm going to use this kind of barrel shape cylinder for my feet, and I'm going to create 4 of them. In order to join my clay together, what you're going to do is you're going to scratch and slip where you're going to join. So right here is where I want to put my first foot. I'm going to scratch it with my serrated rib. I am then going to take the cylinder form for my foot, and I'm going to scratch on the side where I want to join. Next, I'm going to take the slip from my container here, and I'm going to paint it into the areas that I scored and the area that I scored on my foot. Don't be stingy with the slip. Add quite a bit. then you're going to simply stick, and the slip acts like glue. Okay, let's review real quick. Besides scratching and slipping, what is the most important thing that you need to remember when you're joining two pieces of clay together? Once you have it slipped on there, it's nice and secure. The next thing that's really important is that we take a modeling tool like this one and we blend in our seam. This seems to be a step that people want to either skip over or do insufficiently. And if you've ever had things break off in the kiln, it is probably because you did not do this step correctly. So we really need to make sure that we do more than just stick it on. We actually must blend our seam together using our wooden modeling tool. At this point, I want to clean up that area where I joined. Sponge is the best thing to use here. Okay, so if I have like slip all over and I want to clean that up, I'm going to clean that, and then I'm going to work on kind of gently smoothing out my foot so it's exactly how I want it. The next step is I'm going to then join my other 3 feet, so I have 4. Remember, you want to think about either the stability of your pot. So when you turn it over, it cannot teeter-totter. It needs to be able to sit flat. All of your feet added, and you could potentially just have 1 foot. It doesn't have to be multiple. It's time to make sure that our slab is completely smoothed out. So anywhere where you may have nicked it, make sure your feet are smoothed out as well, any of your edges, because we're ready for our slab to now get into the leather hard stage so we can remove the thing that it's draped under. When you're completely finished, you're going to bring your slab to this table here. You can see I'm going to have this table being hit consistently with fans. This is to more quickly dry out your slab so this can get to the leather hard stage faster. So when you're done, your feet are added onto your slab and everything is nice and smooth. You can come place your slab on this table, and I want you to set a timer for about 5 minutes to then come back and check on it, at which point we should be able to remove the slab from the drape. It will be able to hold its form and be supported by the feet. If you only get to making the feet today, or you still need to do that tomorrow, that's okay. If you don't get to this table in the drying stage today, we will get there tomorrow. Your goal today is to just continue working on the feet, get as far as you can, and then hopefully during tomorrow's class period we can get it to this stage here and get it off of the drape. If you do not finish today, you need to make sure your clay is thoroughly double bagged and on your shelf. If you're able to take your slab off today, I will help you with the next step of bagging.